The city, Jakarta, Indonesia. This is the jumping off point for my next series of explorations. This time, the volcanoes of Indonesia. I'm headed halfway around the world to visit some of the most dangerous, destructive volcanoes of all time. The islands of Indonesia contain one of the greatest concentrations of active volcanoes found on Earth. Part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, this region has become synonymous with violent eruptions. Names like Semeru, Merapi, and the mother of all volcanoes, Krakatoa. On August 27, 1883, Krakatoa erupted with a force never seen before or since. Hundreds of villages wiped out by huge pyroclastic flows. And even more devastating, it created a tsunami that claimed more than 36,000 lives. One of the side effects of the eruption of Krakatoa was the huge tsunami that it produced. 40 meters high, it took out the original lighthouse here on the Java coast. Imagine the water almost as high as the new lighthouse that they've built to replace it. To safely explore these amazing volcanoes, I'm going to need some expert help. This is Donnie, my new best friend. He's the Indonesian volcanologist that's going to be helping me out here. How's it going, Donnie?
I'm fine, thank you.
Where are we off to today?
Today we're gonna go to Krakatoa, the original Krakatoa, and camp there.
Excellent.
Super bloody maximum bagus, f***ing awesome, dude.
All right. Woo! Donnie may not be your stereotypical scientist, but he knows volcanoes. And he's brought me to the Krakatoa Observatory to give me a better idea of what I'm in for. So the idea is, tomorrow, we're going to hop on a boat and head out into the Sunda Strait over here to Rakata Island, which is actually part of the original Krakatoa. It's the only piece of the original volcano that was left after the 1883 eruption. And that'll give us a great view of Anak Krakatau, which is erupting spectacularly right now. And if we're lucky, we'll actually be able to even land on Anak itself. So what's the plan? Jakarta's here and Krakatoa's over here.
Right. So from Jakarta, we're gonna drive.
Later, we go over our strategy with Donnie's Australian associate, Steve Axford,
Take about 4.5 hours.
who will join us on the expeditions.
Volcanic bomb.
Right.
Yeah. So we stay there and look how the Strombolian eruption formed.
125 years ago, this beach would have been one of the first things hit by the tsunami. That was so powerful, it sent ships 3 kilometers inland in the massive surge. Because of its remoteness, Krakatoa, the only way to get to it is using one of these little fishing boats. I'm very excited about it because the activity level right now is very high. It's on a level 3 out of 4. If it goes to 4, then they start evacuating the local coastline in case of tsunamis and if there's a large eruption. But it should be relatively safe. Of course, that all depends on how close I get to the thing. There are actually 4 islands here. There's Anak Krakatau, Rakata, which is the remains of the original Krakatoa, and then 2 other smaller islands, so it's a complex here. I've waited for years to see this famous volcano, and it doesn't disappoint. That is awesome. You can see this huge column go up, and these rocks are being chucked hundreds of meters. You can hear them landing. Wow. This is pretty wicked. Behind me is this ash that's now falling out of the sky. It erupted out of the volcano. The upper winds carried it along, and now it's coming back down, and it's raining grit on me right now. The beach on Krakatoa Island is the perfect spot to camp and get a great view of the eruptions. Even if Donnie doesn't like the weather.
This year, super bloody maximum hot.
It is hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not quite as hot as over there on the other island.
Yeah, because it's windy on the island.
Windy? Yeah. Oh yeah, there's also hot rocks flying out of it. And tomorrow, I'm gonna go see them, up close. Today, I might get to stand at the crater's edge of the most destructive volcano in human history, Krakatoa. The current eruptive activity is actually rebuilding Krakatoa, but when it had its cataclysmic eruption, it released more energy than 13,000 Hiroshima bombs and was the loudest sound ever recorded in history. As we approach this extremely active volcano, it gives us a spectacular show. Huge ash clouds rise hundreds of meters in the air. That's what I came to see. Now it's time to get on the island and try to get really close to the top of the cone. This is going to be tough determining how close is safe on this one. Oh, this is loose stuff to walk in. Oh, here we go. So the idea right now is to see how far up the mountain I can get before the rocks start raining down. When you see that coming down the side of the mountain towards you, that's when you got to run. Not that it's going to help. Looks like we can go a little bit higher up. A little higher?
Yeah, go.
All right. Now notice Donnie, my volcanologist friend here, he's way down there while I'm up here. What's with that? What's that? No further up? Donnie's commenting. Oh, ash. That Kilauea is a piece of cake. Well, Kilauea doesn't throw rocks at you like this one does. Kilauea, you have to work hard to get killed. Here, it's easy. I like this mountain. Well, it's starting to get late in the day. The sun's gonna be going down soon enough, so it's best to just get off the mountain, go and observe from a safer area, because when it starts getting dark and these things start heading for you, game over, man. Krakatoa is a fascinating sight. It's been on my list for years, but it's by no means the only dangerous volcano here. One of Indonesia's most notorious volcanoes is Merapi. It lies about an hour-and-a-half drive north of the city of Yogyakarta, and it has a big eruption about every 5 years or so. The last eruption in 2006 produced pyroclastic flows that came down the mountain and even killed 2 volcanologists.
Well, it's considered the most dangerous volcano on Java because Jogja is quite a long way away, but it is in the path of the pyroclastic flows. What happens is the lava dome gradually builds higher and higher and then collapses.
Right.
And that's fairly unpredictable, and when it collapses, then the pyroclastic flow comes down.
Rising nearly 3,000 meters, Merapi is the most active volcano in Indonesia. This is one of 3 observatories in the area. Here, they monitor seismic events such as volcanic tremors and earthquakes. Since 2006, these monitoring stations have been on heightened alert after a deadly earthquake, and weeks of lava eruptions and pyroclastic flows signaled a reawakening of Merapi. These are some of the seismograph printouts from the 2006 eruption. And it just goes on and on and on. It was several weeks of pyroclastic flows. Steve and I hike up to the site where the massive pyroclastic flows cut their path of destruction. A pyroclastic flow is basically an avalanche of hot gas, rock, and ash that comes barreling down the side of the volcano during some eruptions. With the case of Merapi, it was caused by a collapse of the lava dome up at the summit. It takes a lot of energy to move a rock this big, several kilometers. So this bunker is specifically built to try and protect people from pyroclastic flows here at Merapi. The problem is, well, it didn't work. 2 volcanologists were here in 2006 and a pyroclastic flow came down, depositing all of this rock, ash, and a lot of hot gas. They went in here for safety, but unfortunately, they did not survive. In 2006, the giant Indonesian volcano, Mount Merapi, erupted, sending massive pyroclastic flows down the mountain. The flows destroyed everything in their path and forced 2 volcanologists to seek shelter in this specially built bunker. But it could not withstand such a huge event, and both men died inside.
If it had just been a layer of ash and hot gas, the bunker would have protected them. Unfortunately, as you can see, there's a very deep layer of rock, because all of this has had to have been dug out. So this was completely buried up to the level you can see. It would not have been pleasant inside the bunker, getting hotter and hotter and knowing that there is no way of escaping.
Even as their bodies were being recovered, more dangerous flows threatened the workers, sending them running for cover. This bunker may have seemed like a good idea at the time, but unfortunately, it just ended up being their tomb. This site at the base of Mount Merapi is a grim reminder of the dangers that face all of us who get close to these uncontrollable forces of nature. But not everything that pours out of the ground in Indonesia is lava. At the Kawah Ijen mine in West Java, poisonous sulfur dioxide gas escapes from underground, cooling and condensing into rock-hard sulfur. The way the mining operation works here is sulfur-infused steam condenses in these pipes, and then the liquid sulfur drips down, and then it freezes into the hardened sulfur where they chip it out, put it in baskets, and then haul it up the crater and then down the other side. It's back-breaking work. You think your job is tough? Just wait till you see the Kawah Ijen sulfur miners. These men, working only with basic tools and no safety equipment, toil in the impressive and dangerous sulfur fumes to collect their loads, often over 100 kilograms. Then, somehow, they're able to carry this weight out of the crater, almost straight up, over treacherous terrain. The journey continues with a back-breaking hike to the peak. Then, down the other side to the way station. Each miner will make this grueling trip twice a day. Back in the mine, I want to try carrying this tremendous load for myself to see how I might fare as a sulfur miner. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Oh my God. Oh. Yes, it's as heavy as it looks. Wow.
Wow. Strong.
Super strong. These guys are supermen. I don't know how they do it. And then it's not just a matter of walking 10 feet. Oh no, they have to go all the way up there to the top of the crater. 4 kilometers. And it's not flat. It is steep, rugged, volcanic terrain. Wow. The life of a miner here is difficult and dangerous. They must endure painful injuries while constantly breathing deadly sulfuric gases. A man's life expectancy here is often only about 30 years. Each miner makes about $7 a day. I'm in Indonesia, experiencing the incredible natural phenomena in abundance on these islands. Like the sulfur mines of Kawah Ijen. The sulfur of Kawah Ijen volcano, it's not just a resource here for the local economy with the miners, it's also a resource for my next adventure. The mining here has helped to create the world's largest sulfuric acid lake. How corrosive is this acid? Let's find out. My plan right now is to take this rubber dinghy out onto the acid lake here at Kawah Ijen. It's just a toxic lake of sulfuric acid. What could possibly go wrong? One thing I do want to test is the acidity of the lake and to see how much it's mixing out. I took a measurement by the lake shore and it was 0.5 on the pH meter. I want to go out a little further in the boat to take another measurement and see if it's the same or maybe slightly higher or lower. I'm not sure how well this thing's going to stand up to the acid, so I've got one of the seat cushions here. I'm going to inflate it, toss it in the water and see if it survives. I'll leave this in here for a couple minutes and see how it goes. Okay, that's scary. You can actually hear it eating away at the metal. It sounds like bacon frying. If you remember your high school chemistry, a pH of 3 is 10 times more acidic than a pH of 4. A pH of 2 is 10 times more acidic than a pH of 3. This aluminum can I put in the acid lake a few minutes ago you can already see it starting to eat away at the metal. Now, acids and metals do not get along very well together, and luckily there's no metal on my boat, but I'm a bit worried about the seams. Yeah, we'll see what happens. The pH here is 0.5, extremely acidic. Seems to have held out okay.
Time to get in and go boating. I hope this boat is more acid resistant than the pop can was. Swimming in this sulfuric acid is not an option I want to explore.
Okay, I don't hear any hissing, so I think it's okay. I'll continue on a little bit. Wow, I'm actually getting a reading of 0.13. It may actually be more acidic out here in the middle of the lake than over by the lake shore.
It's time to get back to shore. I have a small problem. Just a small amount of this corrosive liquid has turned the bottom of the boat into an acid bath.
Okay, I gotta get out of these pants immediately.
Just a few minutes of exposure and my skin is already burning.
And I got myself a new pair of shorts.
This place is harsh. As I follow the last miner out of the crater, I look around and see a country formed by lava. With over 150 active sites, Indonesia is one of the most volcanic places on the planet. These eruptions, this show of force from the Earth's core, is a reminder to all of us living above of the intense fire that lives below.